city is still very segregated is really unsettling. Because I think that, for a while, it was almost like people were becoming complacent. Like, we don't really need to talk about issues of racial and ethnic, conflict or any sort of like disparity socially or socioeconomically, because things are better. In reality, we sort of know that they're not. And I think that came to the forefront, with the incident with the officer shooting a couple summers ago. I think that people were sort of forced to look at the fact that these issues are still going on. And I've got friends that have shared this with me, that if you're, if you're a Black person in Geneva and you read and you educate yourself, then you're uppity and you're trying to be better than other people. So there's this sort of, to someone succeeding in, the traditional way that we would say, okay, you're successful, you graduate from high school, you go to college, you get a good job. It almost inspires a sense of betrayal to other people, if that makes sense. At least that's how it comes across. And so it's almost like, well, why would, so then what? So people do that, and then they don't come back to Geneva, which is, what I would like to see, educate, come back, give back to the community, that you grew up in. But I can understand not wanting to do that if you're coming back just to be told that you're uppity or you think you're better than someone else. There's certain places that have been dubbed like the Black bar or the Hispanic bar, you know what I mean, without a doubt. I think that there are restaurants that are the same way. Like, on the other hand, like, I'm not sure, who's going into Dally Waters and having lunch. So, you know what I mean? I think that sort of is two sides to their point.
So it's not just residential, though. Because that's something you hear about, like the residential segregation. That's not, limited to Geneva, but it sounds like it's commercial.
I mean, I think so. Yeah. I think that we are still very much in the starting line. I think that the race dialogues, the community compacts in general, and the activities that are coming out of that are a very important first step. But I think that it's a first step. There's a lot of work still to do, without a doubt. And I think that it can't be a situation where we say, like, okay, so we had this horrible thing happen, now we have this compact, and now we've started talking about race, all right, we're good. We can kind of sit back and relax. I think that actually now is the time where we really need to keep pushing forward. I think maybe having somehow there needs to be some sort of outreach too, to really get people engaged in them, because it's great to have things like the race dialogues, or to have the thing that the community center on Tuesday night. But if people aren't showing up, then it's obviously not going to be as effective. I think that anyone sort of serving publicly should. I think that as part of good practice, there should be, diversity training. There should be at least annually, ideally, I would say every 6 months. And, not for a week or anything, but sit down. And I think that I would like to see people mandated to participate in things like the race dialogues, honestly. I think it's really important to have programs for kids, but I think it's also important to remember that as we do this and we talk about this, so after the program, the kids are going home. What are they going home to? So it's almost like we need to have, sort of multi-generational programs, or sweet programs for adults too. And we're talking about sort of trying to almost retrain people to think in a different way can be really challenging. And not seeing many teachers of color. And especially, as she grows up, like, she doesn't look like her mom. Do you know what I mean? And she doesn't necessarily look like her teachers. And I think it's really, really important that she has, women that sort of look like her, that she can grow up with. So she's not getting messages like, oh, maybe I can't be a teacher, or, you know what I mean? Like, oh, that's a white person thing to do, if that makes any sense. And I think that sometimes kids sort of get those implied things. There are race dialogues that happen. I don't know if you guys know about the race dialogues or not. So Yeah, the Human Rights Commission actually, as part of the community compact, they hold things called race dialogues, and there are a variety of things. There was one on Tuesday evening actually with the Boys and Girls Club, and these things are all sort of coming out of, like all these little like subgroups are coming out of that incident, really. And it's sad that that all of these things are really fantastic and really positive things, but they're almost reactive. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's too bad that these things weren't in place before. It's sad that it has to take something tragic, like a very, I almost want to say shameful incident of, do you know what I mean? Of, like the incident that we had before the Jackson shooting. I mean, okay, so the reality is that we know that Japan needs to become more integrated. It's a really huge deal, and the fact that people don't recognize that we're segregated is a problem.